What's going on, guys? Welcome to this very special edition of the Main Event Talk right here on YouTube. I am the Main Event Player, the Super C, coming back at you. And yes, you see it right there in front of you. The most prestigious championship in all of professional sports, the World Heavyweight Championship. And I decided to go ahead and do what I do best, and that's show it off, just like I only can. Now, you notice that I don't have my name under this bar yet. I haven't decided if I'm going to go with the main event, or if I'm going to go with my name, or if I'm going to go with anything in that particular nature. Hasn't been done yet, and I've been wanting to do it for a while, but maybe sometime in the near future I'll be able to do it. Now, as you guys, most of you guys that have been subscribed to the WWE, to the Main Event Talk, you know that I have more than one championship. I have this one, and I also have the spinner belt, and I probably will show that maybe in the next episode when I can, but I just wanted to show this off first, for this episode. Now, there's a lot of things we got to talk about, and before we go ahead and start talking about professional wrestling, there's a few subjects that I want to clear up. First of all, I want to talk about, most of you guys know about the debut of the Main Event Rant, which came out just this past Sunday, and I wanted to go ahead and give you guys a little explanation about why I decided to do a Main Event Rant. Now, I've always done these Main Event Talks every time, and I like to go ahead and just say what I want, when I want to say it, and I could either talk about professional wrestling, or I could talk about metal, or I could talk about anything that goes on. That's what the Main Event Talk's about. The Main Event Thoughts, I always go ahead and I do a little sit down, and I do a little serious thought on certain matters, whether it's wrestling or anything in that particular nature. That's what the Main Event Thoughts are, and they usually last about 15 minutes or less, depending on the subject. Now, this episode, or this past episode that came out this past Sunday, is called the Main Event Rants, and what it is basically the main event is going to go ahead and talk shit on YouTube. That's what I'm going to do. And now, I don't plan on doing it every Sunday. I know I said Sunday, but I plan on doing something like that every Sunday. And it's not going to necessarily focus on just wrestling. It's going to be basically, anything that I want to come up with and talk to you about. It could be anything that you've experienced in your life. Think about it. How often does somebody decide to go ahead and put together a video and rant about something? And sometimes it may be funny, it may be ridiculous. It's basically like a wrestler cutting a promo, putting it together, and making everyone listen and say, wow, this dude's fucking angry, or wow, this dude is pissed, or wow, this dude is fucking telling it like it is. Now, I've told it like it is for a long time, but in this case, I'm gonna go a little bit far than I can than anything I've ever done in these episodes. So there's 3 segments that I'm putting together on the main event videos: the Main Event Talk, the Main Event Thoughts, and the Main Event Rants. So expect a new episode coming this Sunday after WWE SummerSlam. That's the thing that's going to happen. Of course, you can see WWE SummerSlam live and on pay-per-view and on the WWE Network, and you can only get the WWE Network for only $9.99. Yes, that's been the ridiculous catchphrase that everyone has decided to use. Everyone from Triple H to Hulk Hogan to JBL to Michael Cole to Jerry the King Lawler, everyone has said you can go to the WWE Network and get it for only $9.99. Orale. And let's see. I've got like I said, I got a new episode of the Main Event Rant coming this Sunday, and the subject, and I'm going to give everyone a preview of what the rant's going to be about, because especially to all my friends that are watching this episode right now, watching this episode of the Main Event Talk, to Hector Juarez, my best friend, Homestar Runner, to John Lunar, the best drummer on the planet, to the sexy assassin Richard, and to Eddie Maiden. Now, the reason why these are the members of a group known as Team Headbanger Incorporated. Now, it's just a little faction that I like to put together. Now, I got an announcement, and it has something to do with this rant coming up this Sunday. I'm not going to mention anything about what it is and how it's going to be put together. Let's just say I want all ears on all 4 of you gentlemen that are watching this episode, because I'm about to change the game this Sunday on the Main Event Rant. So be ready for that. Now, before we talk, I want to go ahead and send out my thoughts, my prayers, and my condolences, because as most of you guys know, if you guys have already heard it, you know the story. Just yesterday, during the whole thing on Monday Night Raw, apparently one of my all-time favorite comedians had passed away and had committed suicide, apparently. And you know, I couldn't believe the news that I heard. And I believe last time I heard from this guy, I think he was doing a show on CBS. I forgot what the show was called. I think it was called The Crazy Ones, I think. Could be wrong. But my thoughts and my prayers go out to none other than the legendary Robin Williams. Now, I've been a huge fan of Robin Williams for a long, long time. I have digged his work. I have been a huge fan of him for years, during the 80s and during the 90s, and he was one of my all-time favorite comedians. And, you know, apparently he had passed away, and then I heard he had, I guess the official word that I got was that he committed suicide. And that's, it's really, really sad when you hear something like that, especially when it comes to a comedian like Robin Williams. You wouldn't think an individual like that would commit suicide. And, you know, I've heard the stories of so many of the greatest comedians of all time that have passed away and that have done horrible things to each other. Chris Farley, I believe he died of a drug overdose. I believe, let's see, I think it was either Jim or John Belushi. He died of a drug overdose as well. One of my other favorite comedians, Richard Genie. He, most of you guys probably don't know who he is, but he actually appeared in the movie The Mask with Jim Carrey. I think he was an employee or something like that. He had passed away, I think 2007. I think he committed suicide or something like that. Robin Williams, he pretty much committed suicide, and it was sad to hear that he had passed away. So, on behalf of everyone that is watching this episode of the Main Event Talk, I just want to say, you know, I'm sorry, and my condolences go out to Robin Williams' family and everyone at this time. And to let you know, Robin Williams, you have certainly changed the lives of a lot of people. I have digged all of your movies, and one of my all-time favorite movies from Robin Williams, and some people are going to probably say it's Aladdin, but it's not, you know, because he appeared in that movie also. One of my all-time favorite movies from Robin Williams is none other than the 80s classic Good Morning Vietnam. That was truly one of my all-time favorite movies. I have digged that movie every single time I see Robin Williams in there. He was basically a rebellious DJ that went out and said whatever he wanted, when, you know, however he wanted to do it. And even though he was in the military, he's one of these individuals, you know, kind of like a CM Punk, or kind of like a Paul Heyman, you know, someone that likes to tell it like it is, and someone that likes to, you know, not be like everyone else, you know, just go ahead and say what you got to say on the radio and get it out for everyone to hear. It was one of my all-time favorite movies. And like I said before, my thoughts and my prayers go out to everyone, all of the fans of Robin Williams. We want to say we love you, we miss you, and you will never, ever, ever be forgotten, my friend. Thanks, Robin. I appreciate it, man. Now, we go from the heart thought Robin Williams to getting into some wrestling action. Let's get right into it. WWE Raw this past Monday night was unquestionably truly the best Raw episode I've seen in a long, long time. And of course, WWE SummerSlam coming this Sunday on pay-per-view and on the WWE Network. You can only get it for $9.99. Yes, you can get it for $9.99 to see WWE SummerSlam live and exclusively on pay-per-view and on the WWE Network. You can get it for $9.99. You know what else you can get for $9.99? Let me tell you what you can get for $9.99. You can get a 12-pack of beer. Yes, Bud Light, Budweiser, Michelob Ultra for $9.99. You can get that. You can get a pound of steak for $9.99. You can get a carton of cigarettes, or one, for $9.99. You can fuck a prostitute in the fucking ass for only $9.99. And that's how it goes, ladies and gentlemen. But SummerSlam this Sunday, but Raw was truly tremendous, and I gotta get this out of the way. Even though it was just yesterday, I want to go ahead and say it right here, right now. Happy birthday goes out to the immortal Hulk Hogan. And I'll tell you something, if it wasn't for Hulk Hogan, I mean, him and Ric Flair are truly the two main reasons why I am a professional wrestler. Well, not a professional wrestler. I'm like, oh, I'm a wrestling fan. I'm a wrestler. No way, dude, I got the belt in my hand, brother. But anyways, if it wasn't for Hulk Hogan, I wouldn't be the wrestling fan that I am. You know, back in the 80s when I truly did Hulk Hogan a long time ago, wrestling, there was no such thing as sports entertainment at the time. Even though it existed in the 80s, nobody knew what it was. And Hulk Hogan was truly in the center of this whole thing called Hulkamania. And ever since then, Hulk Hogan had done a lot in his career, from forming Hulkamania, being a part of the first WrestleMania, having some of the greatest matches in WWE history, with facing off against men like King Kong Bundy, Andre the Giant, the $1 Million Man Ted DiBiase, the Macho Man Randy Savage, the Ultimate Warrior, and he faced off so many back in the 80s and back in the 90s as well. You know, he was an icon. Everyone digged who he was. I digged who he was. Hell, as a kid, back in Van Elementary School, I would, and this is the truth, I would go ahead and I would go to school, right, over Fan Elementary, just down the road from over here and everything. I would go ahead, right, and I would pretend like I'm Hulk Hogan. Yeah, you would hear his entrance music, every single time. And I would go ahead and do all of these ridiculous poses. Let me go ahead and put this down here real quick. I would go ahead and I would decide to, hear the music. You hear this music in your head. You hear it right now. And you're just all, and some people thought I was crazy, which, I was like probably 8 or 9 years old when I was doing this. I was going like this and everything else like that. I was like, hey, I'm going to come on like that and everything. And I would go ahead and start doing poses. I would go like this, and all that stuff. That was me. That was me a long time ago. And to this day, do I still do it? No, not really. I don't do it as often as I should, but that was me a long time ago as a kid when I was over there, in Fannin Elementary School a long time ago here in Corpus Christi, Texas. I know some of you guys like George and Jacob and Mark Anthony and Joseph, and everyone that's watching this is probably looking at me like, my God, he's crazy. Of course I was crazy. I was a little kid watching my favorite wrestler Hulk Hogan go out there and do all of these poses, and we all wanted to be like Hulk Hogan. That's how it was. We wanted to go ahead and carry the world with a WWE Championship in our possession. We wanted to go ahead and wear it around our waist, And even during the 80s or during the 90s, when Hulk Hogan, did what he did and created the NWO, it was like not only shocking to every person, but it was also groundbreaking at that time. Everybody hated Hulk Hogan, but they wanted to see what he was going to do next. Him and the rest of the members of the NWO. So the man that put the red and yellow and became the symbol of a hero would become a villain in the 90s. And he was still hot. Whether anybody liked it or not, Hulk Hogan was still hot. He was still doing this. He was out there with the World Heavyweight Championship. He had the NWO sprayed on the World Heavyweight Championship. He would go ahead and he would take the championship and he would play like guitar, man. He's like, every time the Voodoo Child song came on, you remember that, right? The Voodoo Child song would come on and everything. He would go out and, say Hollywood, and everything else like that. Man. But unquestionably, Hulk Hogan is one of the greatest WWE, one of the greatest professional wrestlers to ever grace the square circle. And if it wasn't for Hulk Hogan, I wouldn't be the wrestling fan that I am today. And I just want to say happy birthday to Hulk Hogan. And I thank and If it wasn't for you, Hulk Hogan, I wouldn't be the wrestling fan that I am. I wouldn't be the main event player. I wouldn't be the super